Hi folks. So this is James and I'm recording this video to talk about Seven Bridges Road and my understanding of the music of it. And in doing so, I want to make really clear, I am not like a professional musician. I'm not the best singer or anything. I'm just an enthusiast who loves it. And some of you wanted to have a little bit of a framing for how we sing this. We're going to meet on the 28th of July down in central Massachusetts to do some practice singing together. And we've sent out this music as kind of like a guide. Another good guide is to find one or more of the many renderings of this song. The classic one is the Eagles. They have this live version that they sang at a concert, and you can find it on Spotify. Dolly Parton did one. So many people have done them. And why? I think it's because this is a song that can be adapted in many ways, and it's really hard to screw up. It's something that I've heard referred to as no-fault singing. There are some songs that you can harmonize to in a number of ways, and it'll all work. And why is that? I think it's because Seven Bridges Road doesn't really have a melody so much as it has a harmony. And once you understand the harmony, then and where it comes from, and then you could really do anything as long as you understand the pattern of the harmony. So let's talk about the pattern of the harmony. Okay, first part of it is, there are only 3 chords in the whole song. Right? So the 3 chords are D, C, and G. And so the first one you start with, you just literally start out with a D chord, which is D, F sharp, A. And then it goes down to a C, and then to a G, and then back up to a D. That's it. And if there is a melody, it goes like this. There are stars in the southern sky. Right? Southward as you go. So here then, if that is the melody, and I'm not so sure it's like a really strong melody, what does it do? It starts out there, and then it goes down a little bit. Are stars with a little bit of an up in the southern sky. So, and then it drops, right? And if you hear when people sing it, that's what they do. So it's kind of like tumbling down a hill with a couple of lilts. There are stars in the southern sky. So instead of just simply thinking about D, C, G, and then D, you might want to think about it as a D, C, G, and then a D in a lower, right? So think about heading downward as you do that. And notice, if you look at the music, that's what happens. There are stars in the southern sky. So get that pattern. And understand a little bit about the history of this song, right? So when the song was written, it was written by this guy who's in a band, and they're actually going from one gig to their next gig. It's the middle of the night, and they're on this road that goes in between towns called the Seven Bridges Road by locals because it has these 7 bridges. Right. Anyway, but they get out into the middle of the field. They're tired. It's late at night, and they just go, okay, we gotta get a rest. They stop the car, and it's dark outside. And then they get out of the car, and all of a sudden they see the stars. And this is so inspiring that this song comes out of it. So think about the feeling you get after a night of singing together, when a group of people are clambered together in the back of a van with all these, guitars and whatever, and then they see the stars of the galaxy, and it just takes their heart away. And it's that sense of awe that you should have with that, right? And a kind of a sense of hush at the end. So take one of those three notes, right? Because what is a D chord? But it's D, F sharp, A. So if you want to know where to go, start with that and figure out where in your voice you're most comfortable. There are stars in the southern sky. Or that's the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the 1, 3, 5 of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the do, re, mi, fa, so. It's the so, the do, re, mi. The third could be there are stars in the southern sky. I got the note wrong, but you fiddle with it. You could start with the 1. There are stars in the southern sky, right? And all three, when they come together, it's like a moving chord. That's the melody, is really a harmony. And so, if you're doing the fifth, just always hit the fifth. If you're doing the third, which is the F sharp, then figure out where the third is for the C chord, which is, and then figure out where the third is for the G chord, which is, and then get yourself back down to the third. And if you're doing the 1, whoops. Excuse me. My D on that piano is a little hinky. So, and what do you do in between? You do either, you can jump down, right? Or you can go, you can fiddle, right? But that's just the path there. And those are little frills, and you can add those in. Okay, one more thing to consider is that I've been playing the D chord, 1, 3, 5. But you can play it different ways. You can play it 3, 5. Now that sounds different, even though it's the same chord. Right? Oh, that has a little bit more of a shimmer to it, right? To put the 1 at the top. There are stars in the southern sky. And so to have someone who has a bit of a high voice, to do that would be interesting. You might want to think about doing that. Of course, you cannot just do the 1, 3, 5, the 3, 5, 1. You can also do the 5, 1. Now this is like a descant. This is someone who has this is a strong, bold move. There are stars in the southern sky. As you can hear, I can't reach that range. But for someone to be right up there would be really cool. If everybody else in the group, finally, is doing this whole downward movement, imagine if there's that one person there who goes against that one person with everybody else going downhill. What if someone soars if we're all getting that hushed feeling, what if there's one person in the group in this music looking at the nighttime sky in the south late at night who is not awed and brought down by that, but is elevated and goes up? You could do that. Okay, last thing to talk about is that there's really just a bunch of verses, and which are just all over and over and over and over again. What's the addition to that? Well, it starts out slow, like you could imagine. And I'll bring a guitar. Maybe you might want to bring a guitar too, because we can. How easy it is on a guitar to play a D chord, C chord, and a G chord. Not hard. It would provide us a little bit of tuning. One thing that a guitar might do, if you want to play guitar with this song, is to start out in the first verse, just play the chord and let it sit. It's a little quiet leading in. And then what happens, even in this arrangement, which is like kind of barbershop-y or whatever, is that then the second verse, you then build it a little. How do you build it? You do it by maybe doing a little rhythm. Or you bring an egg shaker, and you get a little percussion going. And then the last verse is like, you play the chord, and then we exalt. And, that's when you let it really out. So it goes from kind of this piano kind of beginning to a forte. And then the third is like a fortissimo kind of, and then we'll bring it back in to the close. And there's a bridge, which is the last bit. And here's a wrinkle. So, this is well, sometimes there's a part of me. Well, sometimes there's a part of me. Well, okay, so that's really just C, and then there's a part of me wants to turn around and go. Except that they add one more note in to give it a little bit of a dissonance and a kind of like whoa feature, which is that they, instead of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they add in the second note, do, re. So listen to that. This is the 1, 3, 5, and now let's add the second. So if someone wants to do that, and that's dissonant, right? So which means that it doesn't exactly fit in with the traditional major key thing. But if someone is feeling confident in taking that second note, and then doing that again, that's the C, and then you do it. That'll make people in the audience go, ooh, that's mystical. That's really all it is. And then we have fun with it. There's all those variations. If I were you, and I'm not, I'm me, oh gosh, why don't I just tell you what I'll do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to try all these things. Like, do I want to take the 1, 3, 5, or during the bridge, do I want to take the second, right? And where do I want to be? Do I want to be a high 1 or a low 1? Do I want to be a high 3 or a low 3? Am I going to be one of the main group that takes the downward, kind of feel? Or am I going to want to do I want to every once in a while when no one else is in the house try this, what's called the descant, which is this soaring piece that kind of opposes the rest of the singers. And I would try that singing with the Eagles or singing with the Dolly Parton cover, or, there are so many covers on there. If you have Spotify, you could find them. And I just practiced with that while I was doing my supper. That is my understanding of the piece. There may be one of us who is not me, who is actually a professional musician, who might have some other insights, and if so, share them, please. But that's what I understand of this. And really, it's no fault singing. As long as you hit one of those notes which the Western ear is tuned to hear, it's like singing a Christmas carol or some other kind of, really familiar piece of music. You just need to hit that 1, 3, or 5, and you can't be wrong. And then hold in your heart the idea of standing out underneath a starry sky, which is going to be really hard not to feel when we're at camp, doing that under a starry sky. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be beautiful. I look forward to us practicing it together just to kind of get a feel of where each other's at and balancing out our voices. And then we're just going to feel that joy. It's going to be wonderful. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. So long.